Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive.
Hi there. So today we're doing something a bit different.
Yeah.
Our source material, it's not your typical research paper. It's this incredibly detailed, um, real-life crime narrative, super high stakes.
Right.
And our mission really is to dig into the psychology, the operational details that come out of this collision between, well, financial ruin and calculated crime.
Absolutely. It's this perfect storm, isn't it? We're looking at four very different lives crashing together. You've got the collapsed financier,
Uh-huh.
the aristocrat who gets forced into it, a really sharp career detective, and then a convicted murderer, all tangled up in this one terrifying event.
And that event is a $100 million ransom demand. It stems directly from this catastrophic financial loss.
So what are the big themes we're pulling out here?
Well, several key things. First, just the sheer toxicity that can come with extreme wealth, hyper wealth. Then the danger of debt, especially hidden debt. That whole information asymmetry thing where, one person knows the family's broke, but the world thinks they're billionaires.
That's crucial here.
Absolutely. And finally, the kinds of moral choices people make under unbelievable pressure, especially when kids' lives are on the line. It's about desperation, survival, and how privilege just slams into the criminal underworld.
Okay, let's start with Peter Morgan. He's the one coerced into orchestrating the whole thing.
Hmm.
Born into serious New York privilege, right?
Hmm.
An illustrious family name.
Exactly. But the actual family money, pretty much gone by the time he was growing up. His situation was complicated from the start.
How so?
Well, his mother remarried. An aristocratic banker, who actually sounds like a decent guy, loved Peter, educated him and his siblings.
Okay, so some stability there.
For a while.
Hmm.
But then Peter's mother, she developed a severe drinking problem, ended up institutionalized. Yeah. So Peter and his siblings were effectively orphaned, despite, the fancy background. That was the core trauma for him, according to the source.
And outwardly, he seemed fine, the golden boy.
Totally. Looked the part, incredibly controlled on the surface, smart, well-connected Duke undergrad, full ride to Harvard for his MBA. Everyone just assumed he'd nail it.
But that control was just external.
Precisely. It was a mask. Inside, deep wounds. And critically, the sources say, almost no conscience. He seemed to learn from his mother's downfall that luck wasn't real. You had to make it happen.
Whatever it took.
Whatever it took. That mindset, it set him on a collision course.
And it happened fast, didn't it? The downfall.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Staggeringly fast. Right out of Harvard, within a couple of years, he's already committing white-collar fraud.
Yeah.
Churning accounts, borrowing money from his brokerage.
He bounced back for a bit, though. Marriage kids.
He did. Married Janet, the boss's daughter at his next firm, had 2 girls. Looked like the perfect life. But that obsession with money, it never stopped. It wasn't just about being wealthy. It was about getting more.
Whatever it took.
That phrase again. And it led him down a darker path. The sources say he started doing cocaine just for fun around 31.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Within a year, full-blown severe addiction, lost the job, got cut off completely by his powerful father-in-law. But the absolute rock bottom, the thing that really sealed his ruin, was losing his kids.
The yacht incident. I remember reading about
That's
that.
the one. A total disaster off East Hampton. His daughters were visiting, and he's there with 3 other women. A load of cocaine. Just awful.
So he lost custody.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And that just sent him spiraling. Burned through any remaining cash gambling on super high-risk commodities. Ended up unemployable, addicted, totally isolated. His ruin wasn't bad luck. It was a chain reaction of bad choices.
Okay, so that's Peter Morgan's self-destruction. Let's contrast that with the Barnes family. Alan Barnes. He hit the jackpot, didn't he?
Oh, big time. Pure timing, maybe some genius. Sold his tech startup for $200 million, right at the absolute peak of the dot-com craziness. A real lottery ticket win.
And this is where that hyper-wealth dynamic really kicks in. His wife, Fernanda, she wasn't chasing that kind of money, was she?
Not at all. She was grounded, like their comfortable life in Palo Alto. Her dream was pretty simple, really. College funds for the kids, security, maybe some nice long trips to Europe, a month in Florence.
But Alan, he went all in on the wealth.
Like it was a new religion, yeah. The spending was insane, immediate. That $20 million house on Belgrave Square, a record price at the time, the yacht, the place in Hawaii.
Wow.
Fernanda, apparently, she kind of tolerated the pointless extravagances, as the source calls them, because it meant access to European museums, which she loved.
Okay, but here comes the information asymmetry theme.
Whoa.
Alan didn't just spend it, did he? He kept gambling.
Exactly. Tried to multiply the windfall.
Yeah.
Aggressive deals, new investments. He actually had a few big wins early on, which probably fueled his confidence, made him think he couldn't lose.
Until he did.
Until the market just tanked, and the sources are clear. Within 6 months, the empire didn't just shrink. It vanished, evaporated, left behind hundreds of millions in debt.
Hundreds of millions. How do you even hide that? Especially living like that.
He was apparently a master at hiding things, used really sophisticated financial tricks, things like anonymous partnerships, letterbox corporations.
Explain those a bit, letterbox corporations.
They're basically shell companies, often set up in places with low taxes, minimal oversight. They don't really do anything, just exist on paper.
Like a front.
Pretty much. They serve 2 key purposes for Alan. First, they let him borrow huge amounts without anyone knowing it was really him behind it. Mask the ownership.
Okay.
And second, crucially, they let him shuffle assets and debts around the globe. Made his real financial situation totally opaque. To Fernanda, to everyone, the world saw the Belgrave Square mansion.
Yes, but the debt was hidden offshore somewhere.
Exactly. The illusion of wealth let him rack up the debt, and the shell companies kept the illusion alive until it all came crashing down.
And the end for Alan was abrupt. Tragic.
Yeah. It was the financial failure that broke him. He flew down to Mexico, trying one last desperate bluff on a deal. It failed. 3 big companies connected to his debts collapsed.
Oh, man.
He called Fernanda, just sobbing, completely broken, saw himself as a total failure, implied he couldn't go on. He died by drowning shortly after. Authorities ruled it a likely suicide.
And the suicide note itself. That was the final blow financially, wasn't it?
Devastatingly so. Because he wrote about his failure, basically admitting intent, the insurance company refused the massive life insurance claim.
So Fernanda was left with nothing. Worse than nothing.
Widow at 39, ruined, panicked, hundreds of millions in debt, isolated 2 old friends, were maybe jealous of the wealth, or now just totally unaware she was broke.
What a nightmare.
And she felt she had to hide the truth, the bankruptcy, the likely suicide to protect his memory, protect the kids, Will, Ashley, and little Sam.
So she's forced to sell everything, find a job, but still keep up appearances as this supposed heiress with $500 million.
Exactly. And that concealment, that asymmetry, that's what makes her the target, the perfect target.
Right.
Her vulnerability, born from hiding that ruin while still looking rich. That leads us straight to the real architect of the crime, Philip Addison.
And he wasn't just some street thug.
No, major criminal. But smart. Used legitimate businesses, high-tech stocks, that sort of thing, as a cover for much shadier stuff. Deep underworld connection.
Like a modern corporate gangster?
Kind of, yeah. And Addison, he saw Peter Morgan. Didn't see him as a player, really. Saw him as useful.
Useful how? Peter was a mess, right? Addicted, broke.
Yeah, but he had intelligence. He had those old social connections. And most importantly, he was desperate. Completely desperate. Addison knew that made him controllable.
So Peter gets out of prison.
Yeah.
The source says he's literally down to his last $15.
$15, he's totally trapped. And he owes Addison big money from his old cocaine days. He has absolutely no choice but to make that call.
And Addison's just been waiting.
Seems like it. Classic debt trap. Peter calls, Addison reels him in, reveals the project.
The kidnapping.
Orchestrating the kidnapping of the Barnes children. Ransom demand. $100 million.
Wow.
Addison's planning to pocket $75 million himself. Offers Peter $10 million to run the operation, manage the details, hire the crew.
Peter must have freaked out. He was a fraudster, not a kidnapper, not violent.
He was horrified. The source makes that clear. He tried to back out, said he couldn't do it.
But Addison had leverage. Massive leverage.
The ultimate leverage, what you called the nuclear threat. Addison told him straight, refuse to do the Barnes job, and Addison will have Peter's own daughters killed. Isabel and Heather, the girls he'd already lost custody of.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and the source is explicit. Peter's decision is instant. He agrees to the kidnapping to save his own kids.
So the guy who seemingly lost his conscience years ago finds a reason to act, but it's to commit this horrific crime.
It's the central paradox, isn't it? He finds a moral imperative, but only when faced with this absolute evil threatening the only people he still cares about. He's completely trapped. The kidnapping becomes this twisted act of, well, forced sacrifice.
And his first job is to assemble the team, the muscle.
Right. Addison's instruction. Hire 3 professionals. Guys Peter knew from his time inside Pelican Bay. Cold, tough, competent guys. No amateurs allowed.
And the main hire was Carlton Waters. Tell us about him.
Waters is chilling. 41 years old. Served 24 years for a murder he committed when he was just 17. His partner got executed.
4 years.
Yeah. But inside, he was smart. A bodybuilder, apparently a model prisoner, but always claimed he was innocent. Became the unofficial jailhouse lawyer, even edited the prison newspaper. Highly controlled.
Controlled and dangerous.
Extremely. And here's a key detail. He was released the exact same day as Peter Morgan.
Not a coincidence.
No way. Ted Lee flags that later. Addison knew exactly who he wanted for the violent end of the operation.
Okay, who else was on the crew?
Malcolm Stark, 46. Career drug mule, done time for dealing. Had a manslaughter charge in his past from a drug deal gone wrong. He's the reliable muscle. Brutal.
And the third guy? Jim Free.
Mm-hmm.
He sounds different.
Yeah, Free's the wild card. Known for messing up a murder-for-hire job, so maybe not the sharpest tool, but physically intimidating. Covered in prison tattoos, teardrops on his face, looked bad.
They had that dark humor.
The source mentions he joked about eating a child once. Just pure menace. So you have Peter, the disgraced MBA, forced to lead this crew, Stark, the brutal enforcer, Free, the unpredictable psycho, and Waters, the intelligent, cold-blooded killer. The dynamic is volatile from the start.
How did that first meeting go? Peter and Waters. I imagine Waters was suspicious.
Deeply. Trust was zero. Peter explains the plan, and the first thing Waters does, slams him against a wall, starts choking him, rips his shirt open.
Checking for a wire.
Exactly. A brutal test. Waters only agrees because the payout is huge, $5 million for him personally, but he fundamentally distrusts Peter, sees him as naive, weak. That distrust is a huge risk factor.
So they get the upfront money from Addison.
Yep, $100,000 in cash. Classic underworld stuff. They stash it in lockers at the Modesto bus station. Untraceable, liquid. The plan is officially in motion.
Okay, crew hired, money secured. Now Peter steps into his role. Surveillance.
Yeah.
He needs to know the target inside out.
Right. He buys this deliberately nondescript car, an old black Ford station wagon, and just spends weeks, day in, day out, tailing Fernanda and the kids, Ashley, Will, and Sam.
What's he looking for?
Routines, vulnerabilities, and he finds them. No alarm system on the house, no staff, no maids, no nannies, which, again, speaks volumes about Fernanda's real financial state, even if Peter doesn't fully grasp why yet.
He's documenting everything.
Meticulously. Will's lacrosse games, Ashley's ballet classes, the school drop-offs and pickups. It's intense close-in surveillance.
But this process, it starts to affect Peter, doesn't it? Watching them so closely.
Profoundly. It seems to awaken something in him. He sees Fernanda's genuine love for her kids, like how she hugs Will after a game. He sees her pain, too, catching her crying alone by her window late at night.
He sees what he lost.
Exactly. He sees the family, the connection, everything he destroyed in his own life, and it's maybe the first flicker of remorse. It plants the seed for his eventual betrayal of the plan.
It's the beginning of his turn. Did he notice anything specific about Fernanda's state?
Yeah, the source gives some interesting behavioral details. Peter, being observant, noticed she was driving erratically, really distracted, running red lights, changing lanes suddenly, almost hitting a bus.
Signs of extreme stress.
Absolutely. It's her internal chaos manifesting externally. She's barely holding it together, hiding this monumental secret.
And all this time, Peter's watching her.
Yeah.
He has no idea he's being watched, in a way,
Right.
that the cops are closing in.
None at all. He's completely focused on the target. Tunnel vision. Hashtag tag 3.2 physician. Detectives Lee and Holmquist connect the dots. Meanwhile, the investigation is heating up, but from a totally different angle. FBI Special Agent Rick Holmquist nails Philip Addison.
Not for the kidnapping plot yet, though.
No, on harder charges, tax evasion, illegal money transfers. Stuff that's tough even for Addison to wriggle out of. And during the search of Addison's office, they find it. The smoking gun.
The file on Alan Barnes.
Not just a file, a massive 3-inch thick file. Years of detailed information, pictures of Fernanda and the kids. It screams obsession. Shows Barnes was a long-term target for Addison.
And back in San Francisco, Detective Ted Lee is working another angle.
Yeah, Ted Lee, 30-year SFPD veteran, sharp guy. He's looking into a recent car bombing. The target, Judge McIntyre.
Wait, the judge who sentenced?
Carlton Waters. Exactly. Lee starts connecting dots. He notices the timing Morgan and Waters, both ex-cons from Pelican Bay, released on the exact same day.
And Addison, now arrested, connects to both of them.
Precisely. The links are starting to form this really ugly picture.
So Lee and Holmquist put it together.
They synthesize it. Addison, the mastermind, deep in debt himself probably. Peter Morgan, his desperate, coerced employee. Carlton Waters, the killer providing the muscle. And the Barnes file, the target. It all points to a kidnapping plot, aimed at getting that supposed $500 million estate.
They realize the danger to Fernanda and the kids is immediate.
Absolutely. Lee goes to warn Fernanda, pushes her hard, and finally, under that pressure, she cracks. She tells him the devastating truth.
The secret she's been guarding.
Alan lost everything. No money, none, zero. Hundreds of millions in debt. The suicide note that voided the insurance, it all comes out.
And that revelation changes everything for the police.
Yeah.
It makes the situation more dangerous.
Way more dangerous. Ted Lee gets it instantly. These kidnappers, especially guys like Waters and Free, they're banking on a huge payday. They will never believe she's broke.
They'll think she's lying, holding out.
Exactly. They'll think it's a negotiation tactic. And when she can't produce the $100 million, they won't just walk away. They'll get violent, fast. They'll kill Sam to force her hand.
So it shifts from a ransom situation to a likely execution scenario.
Totally. The priority becomes immediate protection, not negotiation. Law enforcement makes a really tough call. Put armed officers inside the house. Concealed.
How many?
4 men. 2 SFPD, 2 FBI agents. They're deployed just after midnight, set up in the kitchen area, waiting.
And Peter Morgan.
He'd finished his surveillance hours before, drove off. He has absolutely no idea that armed police are now inside the house waiting for the crew he hired. His intelligence is now fatally out of date.
Okay, so the crew, Waters, Stark, and Free, they make their move. The source describes it as terrifyingly fast.
Brutally efficient. They arrive looking vaguely like workmen, cut the alarm wires, disable the external systems. They know what they're doing.
And the police inside. They were expecting such a rapid assault.
It seems they underestimated the crew's professionalism and ruthlessness. The 4 officers are downstairs in the kitchen, apparently just chatting, drinking coffee, prepared for maybe a siege, not a blitzkrieg.
And then carnage.
Instantaneous. The kidnappers come in, see the officers, and just open fire. Silenced M16s. The source is graphic. Total carnage. Brains splattered on the wall. Over in seconds.
None of the officers even got a shot off.
Not one. 4 trained, armed men wiped out before they could react. It shows you the level of cold-blooded violence Peter Morgan unleashed, even if unintentionally. These guys weren't messing around.
They weren't there to negotiate.
They were there to eliminate obstacles.
Yeah.
And then they head upstairs. Fernanda and 6-year-old Sam are woken by the commotion.
Oh, God.
The men burst in, grab Sam, tie his hands and feet with nylon rope, tape his mouth, and they just stuff him into this heavy canvas bag. The source says, like so much laundry, clinical, horrifying.
Fernanda must have been hysterical.
Screaming, terrified, seeing the blood on their clothes. And then they deliver the warning.
Don't call the cops.
The man holding Sam tells her, call anyone, let this leak, and the boy dies. Waters immediately relays this to Peter Morgan via phone. Peter's job now is to pass that threat to the police.
Tell the police. Keep this quiet where the kid dies.
Exactly. And this forces the police and FBI into an incredibly difficult position, a cover-up.
They have to lie to the media.
They do, to protect Sam. The police chief, the FBI liaison, they agree to put out a false story. 4 officers died heroically, but in a high-speed chase accident. Not executed in a kitchen during a kidnapping. A necessary lie. But it shows the power the kidnappers wielded at that moment. Hashtag tag shag 4.2, Peter's double cross and the rescue.
This news. The reality of the 4 murders. That has to be the breaking point for Peter Morgan.
It is. Hearing about the executions, knowing Sam is now in the hands of men like Waters, and especially Jim Free, the guy who joked about eating kids, it snapped something in him. His buried conscience finally surfaces.
He realizes he can't trust them.
He knows they'll kill Sam if things go wrong, or even if they get the money. He's horrified by what he's set in motion, and he decides to risk everything to try and fix it.
How?
He uses one of the untraceable burner phones, the tools of the crime, and makes a call directly to Detective Ted Lee.
What does he tell him?
The location, the safe house, this rundown, isolated cabin up in Tahoe he'd rented months before, just for this. He gives Lee the address. And then he just says, tell Fernanda he's sorry. That's it. He knows making that call likely signs his death warrant. Waters or Addison will kill him for this betrayal. It's complete self-sacrifice now.
But he doesn't just make the call and disappear. He goes to Tahoe.
He drives up there knowing SWAT is on the way, knowing the confrontation is coming. He feels he has to be there.
Wow.
He does more than just be there. As the SWAT teams and FBI commandos surround the cabin before dawn, Peter is inside. He actually wakes up Sam. The boy had fallen asleep with his head on Peter's shoulder.
Wow. A moment of tenderness.
Bizarre, right? But yeah, a moment of connection. Peter quickly unties Sam's hands and feet, whispers to him, points outside.
Good guys. He helps him escape.
Yeah. He helps Sam squeeze through this narrow bedroom window, into the bushes, right where the commandos are waiting, just feet away. Peter gets him out.
But Peter stays behind.
He stays. Lies to Waters, tells him Sam's still tied up in another room, buying those crucial seconds. He puts himself directly in harm's way.
He risked everything twice. The call, then staying behind.
And the endgame plays out fast. Waters figures out the betrayal almost immediately. He grabs Peter, slams him against the wall, shotgun under his chin, starts choking him.
But then he sees Sam.
Exactly. In that split second, he sees the commandos carrying Sam away through the trees. Waters and Stark just open fire wildly at the escaping officers.
And then the police fire back.
Instantly. Waters is killed in the return fire. Stark and Free, overwhelmed, are captured alive.
And Sam is safe.
Safe, but terrified. An officer carries this dirty, shell-shocked little boy out of the woods towards Fernanda. She just collapses, grabs him, holding him tight, both of them crying. Ted Lee and Rick Holmquist are watching, tears in their eyes too. The immediate crisis is over.
So Sam is rescued. But Peter Morgan, he's now a fugitive. He saved the boy, but he betrayed everyone else.
Right. His actions definitely showed he did have a conscience buried deep down. But legally, he's on the run. The focus shifts back to the mastermind, Addison.
Who was conveniently out of the country during the actual kidnapping and murders.
Sitting pretty in the south of France. Maintained a perfect alibi for the violence itself. But he's arrested the moment he lands back in the U.S.
On what charges? Conspiracy.
Conspiracy to commit kidnapping, yeah. Based heavily on that huge file Holmquist found, and probably testimony from Peter Morgan, even if given indirectly while he's hiding. Addison denies everything, of course.
And the guys who were caught, Stark and Free, how do they handle Sam's testimony? He saw them.
It's tricky. Sam, who turns 7 around this time, is actually incredibly composed, considering a really good witness, but the justice system is careful. They don't want to re-traumatize him.
So no open court?
No.
Yeah. He
identifies Stark and Free from photos, but it's done privately in the judge's chambers. Protects him from the stress and publicity of a trial.
And Fernanda. The immediate danger is gone, but her life is still completely upended.
Totally. The relief is immense, obviously. But the source stresses, the reality bites hard. She has to sell the Belgrave Square house, finally confront being penniless.
That's a huge adjustment.
Massive. And she knows the kids need help. Takes them all to a trauma specialist. The nightmares, the fear, that doesn't just disappear. Plus, she now has to actually find a job. Start completely over. Hashtag tag 5.2, Ted Lee's change, and the new relationship.
We also see a big change in Detective Ted Lee's life after this case.
Yeah, it seems to have been a catalyst for him, too. After 30 years on the force, he retires, takes his full pension.
Maybe the violence, seeing those officers killed, maybe it was enough.
Could be. Or just time for a change. He actually partners up with Rick Holmquist, the FBI agent. They start their own private security firm.
Doing what?
High-end stuff, personal investigations, celebrity protection. The source says Ted actually finds it more fun, less bureaucracy, a new chapter.
Which mirrors Fernanda needing her own new chapter.
Yeah.
And the relationship starts to evolve. Slowly.
Very slowly. There's this detail where Fernanda mentions she'd been seeing her divorce lawyer, Jack Waterman. He even proposed.
She said no.
Turned him down flat. And fired him as her lawyer, too. Her reason was simple. I don't love him. She tells someone she'd rather just be alone with her kids than settle. She's found a new kind of strength, a clarity.
That clarity. It connects back to the trauma, doesn't it?
In a strange way, yeah. She remembers this young priest who visited her during the kidnapping crisis. He said something really odd, that the whole thing is a compliment from God, an opportunity for grace.
That sounds bizarre.
Totally. But months later, Fernanda reflects on it, and she kind of realizes surviving that horror did change her. Stripped away all the pretense, the reliance on wealth, forced her to find her own resilience. It strengthened her, in a way.
And her connection with Ted deepens through this shared experience.
Definitely. It's built on mutual respect, shared trauma, quiet support. We see a really lovely moment on Sam's 7th birthday, exactly 1 year after that judge's car was bombed, linking back to Waters.
What happens?
Ted gives Sam a gift, his own detective star. The actual brass shield he carried for 30 years tells Sam he's a full detective now.
Wow, that's huge.
It's incredibly meaningful, acknowledges Sam's bravery, validates his experience, a real gesture of love and commitment, not just to Sam, but implicitly to Fernanda too.
And then finally the romance sparks.
Later that same night, they're just cleaning up dinner dishes. Normalcy after all the chaos. Ted finally admits how much he missed her, how foolish he was for waiting. He leans in and kisses her.
And she feels it too.
Yeah. They both realize that closeness they felt during the crisis. That was the start of it, the magic, as she puts it. A slow burn that finally catches.
But the moment gets interrupted, right? In a sweet way.
Perfectly. Just as they're having their first real kiss in the kitchen, Sam runs in, points his imaginary finger gun right at them.
And yells,
"You're under arrest!
The charge.
For kissing my mom." It's just a perfect touch of innocence returning, a hopeful ending. Hashtag tag outro.
What a story. We've really traced this arc from, what, a $200 million windfall?
That turned into $500 million in debt.
Leading straight to a $100 million ransom plot. And at the center, Peter Morgan, the guy who had everything, as the source said, except a conscience.
And yet, in the end, committing this incredibly illegal act, orchestrating the kidnapping, it forces him into the single most significant act of integrity of his life. Betraying the criminals, risking death to save Sam.
Let's recap a couple of those really potent details for the listener. That suicide note from Alan Barnes, the shame in it directly costing Fernanda the insurance money. That detail underscores the tragedy of hidden debt.
Absolutely. And the sheer cold-bloodedness of the crime itself. Waters, Stark, and Free executing 4 armed officers over coffee with silenced M16s before law enforcement could even react. It highlights the extreme danger, the professionalism of the underworld involved.
And finally, that moment in the Tahoe cabin, Peter untying Sam, helping him escape through the window while staying behind to face Waters. That single act of choosing sacrifice over self-preservation.
It's fascinating. Peter Morgan really only found his moral compass when slammed face-to-face with undeniable evil, the threat to a child, and the immediate prospect of his own death.
So here's a thought to leave you with.
Yeah.
Does that kind of desperate 11th-hour act of self-sacrifice truly redeem a life marked by moral failure and crime? Or does real morality, perhaps, only kick in for some people when the stakes are absolute, when there's no other choice left?
Yeah, you really have to wonder, what if Peter Morgan had faced that kind of profound moral test earlier in his life? Before the fraud, before the addiction, how different might things have been? What stands out most to you about his journey or about the whole case? Something to think about.